in this week's traditional sound off. That's right. This is something we do to wrap up every single week, courtesy of our friends at the Dairy Queens in Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. We want to hear your hot takes. These are all real emails to talk@ryanjesperson.com. It's the Flamethrower, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. And Garth says, the season of skin shedding is upon us. Just when we thought that Charles Adler was this is so mean. These are all so mean. With apologies to Chuck. So mean. Just when we thought that Charles Adler was merely slithering out of his old skin to cozy up to the CBC's government-funded cash pot, it turns out Uncle Chuck has even grander ambitions. He's gone straight to the source. But hey, I'm not just here to take a dump on dear Uncle Chuck, says Garth. This is the guy who peddled George W. Bush's lies about the Iraq War and called Justin Trudeau an idiot. I bet Adler would tell you J.D. Vance is a hypocrite, but as we've seen time and time again, wolves love to don sheep's clothing. As the Liberal government stumbles toward inevitable defeat, they're padding the Senate with sellouts to block Conservative motions. But the thing about sellouts, they can always be bought again. Chuck was either going to be the rat on the sinking Liberal ship or hitch a ride with the NDP. I guess there's hope for Alex Jones to join the Democrats. Woo! And here it is. Garth wonders, and Jespo, I wonder who's next on Supriya's candy list. Johnny? Trudeau's campaign DJ? Remember, you heard it here first. That's from Garth. How about this one from Tobias, who says, Jespo, the only reason that Charles Adler got onto the Senate is by all that brown-nosing and dick-riding he's been doing over the years. One of his favorite things to do is flip-flop. On numerous occasions, old ass, this guy ain't a conservative, he's a liberal in denial. That from Tobias. And this one from Clay. This one's particularly flaming. Ryan's shock jock hero has finally landed one of the highest offices in the land, but Jespo is still unable to ask him real questions. Bullshit. If Real Talk cared about real talk, he would ask the racist bootlicker about his past comments, and not just his past comments about the Senate. Charles once impressed many of us with his courageous stand against Jason Kenney's homophobia, and many of us believed and hoped that he was really tearing down his old harmful view of the world. But since then, he's proven again and again that he's not willing to truly inspect his personal bias. He'd rather sling mud about the so-called radical left while pretending to care about progressive values. While he spits toward real progressives on one side of his mouth, he does everything he can to prop up the colonial status quo of Canada out the other side. You said it yourself, Ryan. Some of Adler's first Senate priorities are rule of law, property rights, and free enterprise, not exactly progressive values. Adler claims 90% of Canadians agree with him on those issues. I would expect you, Ryan, to ask him to support such a wild claim. How? That's ridiculous. Anyway, he says Adler's past comments have been so harmful that the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs have asked the Prime Minister to rescind Adler's Senate appointment. Adler called Indigenous people uncivilized boneheads, criticizing First Nations leadership and communities with grossly offensive language. Why didn't you ask him about those comments, Ryan? In light of such offensive comments, the request of the Chiefs, how do you feel about being an unabashed cheerleader for a proven racist? Clay says, I believe people can grow and change, but Chuck has proven himself unwilling. You ought to give your head a shake and ask if you're supporting an old friend or if you're supporting the best candidate for the job. Your personal relationship with Charles and Danielle Smith has completely neutered your ability to hold them to account. If I'm not mistaken, says Clay, that's the job of a journalist. You've constructed yourself an echo chamber and parked your throne at the top of it. And it's time to take a step back and ask yourself if you're holding power to account or if you're just a cheerleader for your buddies who don't dare question the broken country we find ourselves in. Clay says, have a great day, and don't forget to pivot and go to an ad break for Pathways Alliance after this. It wouldn't be Real Talk without a bit of greenwashing mixed in. That from Clay. I could respond, but I'll just let it sit there and percolate because you know what? Real Talk is real talk. We don't vet these. We don't censor the feedback. We want you to have your say right here on the Flamethrower. That's the point. Presented every week by the DQs in Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and Baseline Road. Have an amazing weekend, everybody. We'll be back at it live on Tuesday. Look for your email inbox update. For more, subscribe to the Real Talk email by scrolling to the bottom of our homepage at ryanjesperson.com. Talk soon.